Hello,
Hello,
friends,
Amit.
and hi, Gail. How are you?
Excellent,
And
thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. I'm so excited to be here. Hello, viewers. Hello, friends. Hello, everyone that's watching. As an influencer and a visible difference advocate, I am so excited today because we're going to be having a live discussion and a sketching session with Gail, who's going to be sketching my portrait for the Center of Appearance Research, who have commissioned this incredible project where we're going to be sketching my portrait. I'm so excited about this. Me and Gail were having a discussion when we start thinking about this idea about how a few months ago I was manifesting and thinking about how I would love to have a portrait of me done, and where I could show my emotions and people could see that painting and think about their own emotions and self-reflection of how they are and how they appear. And I'm really, really excited to be a part of this project today. We've got Gail, we've got
This is
I've got a
Maya from
Maya.
the.
I've got I have a brain freeze every now and then. Everyone that knows me and watches my lives, they know I have a brain freeze and I go quiet for a bit. So Maya from the Center of Appearance Research as well. Absolutely thrilled to be here. It's going to be a really, really exciting session. So make sure you stay tuned. I can see your chats. So any comments you want to say, anything you want to ask, put it in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer those as well. I'm going to hand over to Maya now as well to go through some things as well.
Thank you so much, Amit, and it's lovely to meet you. We've not met before, so it's really lovely to meet you.
No, lovely to
Um,
meet you too.
so my name is Maia Thornton. I'm a senior research fellow at the Centre for Appearance Research, and we're based at the University of the West of England in Bristol. So we, as a research centre, do everything to do with research related to the psychology of our appearances, body image, how we look, and a lot of the work that I do and a lot of my colleagues do is around something that we call visible difference, which is essentially the experiences of people living with conditions and injuries that affect the way they look in some way. And we do a lot of work around understanding those experiences and developing support as well. So I'm really happy to be here today to take part in this conversation. We're here today because we have a conference that CAR puts on every other year called Appearance Matters. And this year it's going to be in Bristol. And one of the aspects of the conference is we have a art exhibition, and part of that art exhibition this year is going to be this commission piece of work, which will be a portrait painted by Gail of Amit. So that's why we're here today, to kind of discuss that process, and to hear a little bit more about kind of what goes into painting a portrait and what the experience is like for Amit. So I'm going to hand over to Gail now to discuss that a bit further.
Thank you, Maya. Hi, Amit. It's really lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you again.
Thank you, Maya. So I am so excited about this, and I love the process of developing a portrait, and it's so nice to do it with someone so engaged. I am so excited. You're right up my street as a subject. You know, a really interesting person with a really great story as well. So I'm going to be showing a few sketches. So this is my drawing board, and viewers will be able to watch, and I will do some sketching live. So I'll be like, as we chat, and you and Maya discuss things like poses, what you might want to show, the emotions that you talked about. I can try and reflect that. And I'm also going to be picking your brains slightly. So I will be showing some slides to try and get the conversation started. Not that I think we have any trouble with getting conversation started. So the venue is Bristol City Hall, which is where the conference is going to be taking. And your portrait, Amit, is going to be on this wall, which you may be able to see is about 8 meters by 2 meters. So really, the sky's the limit.
That's big.
Pretty big.
Yeah. So we won't be doing that today. That's the finished oil painting. But what I'd love to do today is get to the stage where we've got a really good bank of information about what you want to portray, and look at some options.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Great, great. So can I show you a few slides of some options?
Please.
Right. So, I've just put in some samples. These are some ideas of the sort of poses that I could reflect or portray you in. So this would be the kind of at work pose. So in this case, Dr. Lawrence was at her screens looking at scans, but that reminded me of what you do. When you're there with your ring light and creating your content.
Yeah.
So that's one option. You've also got your wonderful Piali.
Yes.
So I thought it would be worth considering something romantic. You've got some fantastic romantic content on your social media.
Yep.
So that's an option. There's the full-on face. So this one I put in here as a reminder to cover the fact that it's quite hard to hold an animated expression. So this portrait of Angela, she is the only person I know who can hold a smile for half an hour, sincerely. So it's a reminder that we need to think about whether we're doing working from a photograph or working from life.
Yeah.
So we're halfway through now. Is there anything you want to say?
I think I'm really excited. I mean, the sheer scale of this is just overwhelming to imagine to have something like that done. In terms of the ideas we spoke about, there's so much we can unbox, really, isn't there? There's the romantic side, there's the reflection side of when I'm just sitting in solitude and thinking, and then there's that side of where I'm creating content as well. So really, really happy to explore. I mean, one of the other areas I think we touched on and we could explore is cricket and how I talk about my in a lot of my talks that I do, in a lot of the videos that I make, I talk about embracing your personality, embracing your hobbies to improve your confidence. And for me, cricket was a big part of that. Cricket was a big story of my childhood, of making me who I am today. So we can even explore that holding a cricket ball kind of thing as well.
Yes.
So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yep. Thank you. That's great to know. So I'm really happy as well that you're able to visualize how these, obviously they're different people, but how these raise options.
Yeah.
So so this is an example of a composite. So I used 3 different photos and combined them together. So if we were doing a crickety type thing and you wanted to, do you play cricket now, or are you
I'm afraid I don't, because as a part of the condition, I've got scoliosis.
Yes.
Curvature of the spine. I used to be a bowler, so I'm unable to sort of do the action anymore. But I go to games and I sit and watch a Sunday Test match, Edgbaston, and So, but I don't play.
Mm-hmm. Well, the cricket, like the cricket field and or the venue and or events and stuff, they all make great backdrops. So that was it was almost like we even planned that, Amit. That was a great segue. So this picture, it happens to be of Leon, who is sat right next to me. I'll get him to come and say hello at the end. He's doing our tech. But the reason I wanted to show this one was because we used mirrors, and in your case, we could use mirrors or we could use substitute screens, but it would allow us to show different angles of you. And so if you did want to show, you mentioned the scar on the back of your neck from the operation, and or your back, it's completely possible, and we could maybe do something using mirrors.
Yeah, that's something to explore.
It's definitely an option. then while we're sketching, I thought this was a good one to show, just to show what we'd be doing today would be what I would call a thumbnail sketch. So what the sort of thing that is showing now. So you can see on the left, there's the painting itself, and on the right is the thumbnail, and you can see how they translate. So they can look pretty awful. And they can still look pretty awful when you get through to the oil painting stage, but hopefully at some point it gets to this stage. So this is an example to show you that I can edit a photo. So in this case, you can see this was Nanny G, and she had her mobility aid at the side, and I just kind of cut that out. So if we do work with photos, we can do some editing.
Sure.
Okay, and then this is just an example of a progress shot and then a finished oil painting. So when we've made our decision and I get started, I'll be able to show things like this, and we can share those. So which takes me to sketches of you. So you've seen these sketches that are coming up now. There are 3 of you just taken from stills from your live stream. And it's showing you using your hands, which I really like the way you use your hands as a tool of expression. And this one that I'm showing now was quite noted on social media, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you showing your prosthetic eye, and it just somehow it seemed to resonate with people.
Yeah.
Okay, and then finally that brings me to a couple that you haven't seen yet, Amit, which I saved for today.
Okay.
So these 2 are showing, well, they're highlighting that we have choices to make about the extent to which we focus on or don't your visible difference. So I thought this was a good illustration. It's good for me to get to know your face as well. It's really good practice.
Yes.
I really enjoy doing it. I love drawing you. You're the most fantastic subject. So I think that's probably enough from me.
Wow.
Yeah.
This drawing is incredible. I absolutely love how you've got the one without the prosthesis, almost as if I'm looking in the mirror with the expression. I think the eyes look a little bit subdued. Sometimes I can look in the mirror and look a bit subdued because I talk about confidence, I talk about resilience, I talk about strength, but we all have periods in our day, in our life, where we don't feel too good about ourselves. And I have that on a regular occurrence, even though I talk about confidence so much. And that picture where I'm not wearing my prosthesis and looking in the mirror almost resonates that moment where I look in the mirror and reflect, and I look at the empty eye socket and just think about how it would have been if I had an eye. That almost makes me a bit emotional looking at it, because it's I think the eyes say a lot there. I think that's incredible, Gail, what you've done. And again, on the left, on the other side where I'm wearing the prosthesis, how I've got my head slightly tilted. Before I became a advocate for the visibly different community, and before I'd learned to be so confident, I hadn't accepted myself. And if you go onto my social media and see any of my pictures before last 8 months, before I started my journey of advocacy, all my photographs are from the right hand side of my face. Even on my wedding day, I asked the photographers and the cameraman to video me from the right hand side, because I hadn't learned to accept myself. And that image of me with a slightly tilted head towards the right sort of resonates that. So I'm really, really impressed with both of those paintings. Sorry, I went on a tangent then, because it brought out so many emotions, both those drawings, and how I can resonate with both of those drawings is just incredible.
Thank you for your reflections there, Amit. I think it's really lovely how you've kind of identified different parts of your identity there and the different emotions that those bring out.
Yeah.
And you've also kind of spoken about how that relates to your journey as an advocate. You kind of also previously spoke about the different aspects of your identity in terms of the things that you're interested in, so cricket and things like that. And when we kind of speak to people who have visible differences, we often speak about different parts of identity and how who we are as people is much more kind of holistic than just the way we look. So it's interesting that you brought up kind of your different parts of our identity and experience then. I've got a few questions from the chat and a few that people put on social media. So if you're happy for us to kind of launch into those, would that be okay?
Yes, please.
Amazing.
And for my viewers as well, friends that are watching on live, if you have any questions, the chat function is available, so I'm looking at that. Please drop the chats in, and me and Maya will have a chat now as well.
Yes, definitely get in with your questions if you've got anything to ask Amit or Gail. So first question, we've got a question about your kind of journey towards becoming an advocate. You mentioned there that it's been quite recent, so you kind of said in the last 8 months it's kind of really taken off. Could you tell us a little bit more about that journey and kind of how you came from that period of time when you were kind of saying you kind of accepted your appearance less, and how you've kind of come to where you are today, to this kind of process?
A really good question, and it's one that a lot of people have been recently asking as well. So only in the last 8 months have I truly been advocating for the visibly different community. Only been a month since I left my comfortable day job as a inside sales executive to do this full time. And it all started with that acceptance piece. So to tell you a little bit of background, when I met my wife, she was in India, I was living in England. And I used to talk to her on video calls every day before we got married. And I used to hold the phone from the right-hand side of the face and talk to her. Even though she knew about my condition, she knew about my face, I was still not comfortable showing her my face. And one day she said to me, Amit, if I marry you, I'm not going to marry half of your face. I'm going to marry the entirety. So stop showing me half of your face and hold the phone properly. That moment, I knew two things. One was that she's the right person for me because she accepts me for who I am. But two, that I need to really accept myself before I can expect others to accept me. So that started that journey. And then she moved to England. And like I said, I was working in sales. I've been working in sales and business development for the last 15 years at that point. And I always had this can-do attitude of, just get on with it, go to work, come home, living my life. And my wife said to me, why don't you create some content? Why don't you share your journey online? And she mentioned TikTok. And for me, TikTok was like singing and dancing. And I was like, no, that's not for me. But she's like, do it. And she kept nagging me, as wives can sometimes do that. Breakfast, lunch. She's like, have you done it? Have you done it? Have you done
What
it?
you keep us for.
And eventually, just to shut her up, I created this video, and reluctantly, but I say reluctantly and I say to shut her up, but it was the best thing I'd ever done. I created a video and I said, I want to help, support, and inspire the world be the best version of themselves by sharing my real life journeys. That one video within 24 hours got over 100,000 views.
Wow.
The turning point for me was when 2 weeks into me creating content, a young girl from South Africa messaged me who also has neurofibromatosis. And she said to me, I have neurofibromatosis. The tumors grow on my legs. I really like going swimming, but I can't. And I told her my story about how cricket made me who I am and how I started playing cricket in school. And she said to me one day, she said to me, thank you, and went away. And I thought that was it. A week or two after, she came back and she said, hey, I just want to show you something. And she sent me a screenshot of her Facebook. And it was her in a swimming suit. And it said, I have neurofibromatosis and I'm proud.
Wow.
And that was a point, like, if I could impact one person's life with my videos, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And from there, it just never stopped. I was getting 2,000 followers per day at one point at TikTok, moved on to Instagram, and 8 months in, I'm sitting on 120 odd on TikTok, 50,000 on Instagram, and almost 20,000 on YouTube. A quick, really funny story that, I was speaking at a law firm yesterday in a lunch and learn, and the lady that organized it emailed me the day before, And only a week ago had she gone onto my social media and seen all my stats. And she sent me an email saying, "Oh, this is what I'm going to say in the intro. You've got 12,000 YouTube followers, 40,000 Instagram, and 110,000 TikTok." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I've got 20,000 now in that 1 week." And then I thought to myself, "Bloody hell, in a week's time, I've gone from 12,000 to 20,000."
Wow.
And so the growth has been absolutely rapid. The feedback that I'm getting from the community, the feedback I'm getting from all my social media friends, family, has been incredible. I'm so grateful to Centre of Appearance Research for reaching out to me. I know you all reached out to me some time ago now, about 4 months ago, to offer this opportunity to come and speak at your event. Truly humbled. And then I got the email to say that you've commissioned this incredible project where you're actually going to draw me. So I'm so excited. Sorry, a very long-winded answer to your question.
No,
I know we've
it's
got more
amazing.
questions.
Thank you so much, Amit. You've covered so much there, and yes, I should say also that Amit will be speaking at our conference as well on our panel discussion, which we're really excited about. But yeah, there's so much to kind of reflect on there in terms of your relationship with your wife, Piali. And her kind of saying, I want to be married to, in a relationship with the whole of you, and that kind of links back to what we were saying about kind of us being seen through other people and as ourselves as a whole person, and not just maybe the way we look. And she clearly loved you for the whole of you, which is really powerful. And then her kind of pushing you to do some of the advocacy work, which has obviously grown into such this impactful and powerful thing. That story about the young girl, that was amazingly powerful. And again, it's just shown the importance of representation and role models, and seeing yourself in others, and what an enormous impact that can have. Thank you so much, Amit.
Thank you.
So I have a question again about kind of where you're at now. You kind of said, you kind of captured it there in terms of how fast it's grown. Can you say a little bit about how you've been managing that, like that big change in your life? It's pretty huge. How have you been managing kind of living your life online, I guess?
It's been a roller coaster. It's been an absolute roller coaster. It's again about knowing with conviction what you want to do. I heard a talk by a gentleman called Simon Sinek a couple of years ago, and he said about finding your why. And at that point, I didn't quite know what finding your why meant. But when that incident happened with that young girl and she replied back, I was like, this is what I want to do. And when I create content and I get people sending me messages saying, "Amit, your message has really impacted me in a positive way." When I see a message on YouTube after I've posted a video that somebody has taken something positive from it and implemented it in their life, and then they've come back and said, "Amit, I tried what you said and it's really worked." That is what is currency for me. That is what is keeping me going, keeping me motivated. It's not easy. It's not easy, and it can be emotionally very draining as well for viewers that are watching, who want to create content, who want to start advocating, who want to raise awareness using the platform social media. It can be very draining, and it is very draining at times. At times we get very caught up in the views and the likes. How many views am I getting on this video? Oh, my last video got 1,000 views, but this one's got 200 views. But then I just go through the comments, and that video that's got 200 views, there's a comment in there where someone said, "Amit, before I watched your video, I was really, really low, but this video has really helped me." I'm like, that's my job done. That's what I wanted to achieve, and I've done it. It's knowing what your intentions and what your purpose is, and that keeps me going. That keeps me motivated.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I can really feel that in the way that you talk. Your kind of passion and your why is really comes through when you speak, and that kind of really meaningful, deep impact that you're having. Even if it's just, like you said, just one comment or one person, it makes a huge amount of difference. And I also really appreciate your honesty in terms of saying this has been a great platform, but also it can be quite challenging as well. And I can imagine that is tough to kind of speak about things that might have been difficult for you in the past, or difficult still at the moment, and kind of doing that in quite a public space must be quite challenging some days.
It is incredibly challenging, and there's negatives as well. You get negative comments, you get trolls, you get people trying to weigh you down at the same time. There was one particular comment where somebody said, "Oh, you're on social media using your face to become famous?
Right.
And I responded back saying, yes, I absolutely am. You know, models and people with beauty, and I say that in inverted commas, will use their looks and their beauty to become models, become representatives of, you know, clothing brands, all sorts. I'm using my looks to send a positive message out saying, hey guys, I struggled stepping out that door because of the way I look. But now I want to come on social media. Now I want to come on these platforms and tell you that if you practice some of the things that I have practiced in my real life, you too can be confident. We get a spot, a pimple on our face, and we do not want to step outside the house. I go outside my house every single day looking like this. I did not go to school. I used to sit on my sofa and just wait for it to be just late enough that I'm late for school. And then I can say to mom, oh, it's too late. Let's not go to school that day. Because 20 years ago, attendance wasn't as strict as it is today. You know, if I didn't go to school one day, it was okay. And I said to mom, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. Oh, I'm not feeling very well. I've got a stomach ache. Because when I go to school and other kids start laughing or pointing or not sitting next to me, it really hurts. And that PE lesson was really difficult. Like, in PE, the teacher would say, "Hey, everyone, pair up with somebody," and then everyone would run to their friends, and I'd be left standing waiting for someone to pair up with me. So it is a challenge. It is difficult, but the why and the purpose has become so strong now that I'm just going to keep going. Like I said earlier, I left my job a month ago without actually knowing where my next paycheck's coming from. But the conviction is there, the purpose is there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, you definitely hear that purpose when you speak. And thank you for, sharing some of those more difficult things,
Yeah,
because I think a lot of people with appearance affecting conditions, visible differences, feel the
yeah,
same way and experience
yeah,
a lot of the same social challenges and social stigma. But what you
yeah,
were saying about representation and kind of having your kind of face out on the internet, and what you were saying about the impact for others who might look the same as you. We
yeah,
know from research that seeing kind of more diverse faces and bodies can have a really wide ranging impact on the
yeah,
way that people feel about, beauty standards,
yeah,
and help people appreciate a real wide range of appearances. And it helps people
yeah,
feel better about themselves. It helps people kind of reduce stigma for people
yeah.
who fit outside of those beauty standards. So it's a huge impact. And it's incredible that your work has kind of taken you into that space.
May I
Thank you.
add that
Absolutely.
I find your content absolutely gripping, and I just wanted to mention a couple of things that your honesty and the way that you share, like after your US trip when you were feeling really low, and the way you share that sort of material makes everything so much more relatable, and you're not presenting as someone who's cracked it, who's just completely this is the way to be. You're sharing the ups and the downs, which I think adds so much more power
Yeah,
to your message. And also, I just wanted to say, as someone who doesn't have a visible difference, selfishly, it still resonates. This
mm,
it's so relevant to anyone
yeah.
who's anything less than 100% happy with their appearance. It's just, oh, I've just lost your screen, but I can bring you back there. Yeah, so thank you, Amit. I regularly digest your content with gratitude.
Hi, am I back? Sorry, I think I
You are.
lost.
Yep, you're
Thank you.
back. Yep.
Good.
I wanted to ask you a question, about off the back of that conversation, how you feel about the process of having your portrait painted. So we've had a question, which is about what you've just spoken about, really, which is those social challenges. And as someone
Yeah,
who has a visible difference, you have obviously experienced some challenges, maybe some staring, some comments, some
mm,
difficult times at school. I wonder how, because having your portrait painted obviously requires people to kind of focus on your appearance and pay attention while kind of Gail is putting the portrait together, and we're kind of speaking about it. How does your
mm.
experience of that kind of attention kind of sit aside some of those more difficult challenges you've had in the past?
I think that's a really interesting question, and I've thought about what message this portrait is going to give to the viewers and the people who see this finished product. And for me, it wanted to be an opportunity of self-reflection.
Mm.
I want people to gaze at this painting and take an opportunity to reflect on themselves as well, about who they are and what they are. Because we live in a society now, Gail, where we spend a lot of time focusing on focusing on validation from other people. We want to get validation from others. We want to be liked by others. We want to hear good things from others. We don't spend enough time in validating ourselves. We don't spend enough time in telling ourselves that we're good enough. I ask, when I go to talks and when I speak at schools, universities, I ask the listeners, how many of you here will look in the mirror and say to yourself that, you know what, I'm good enough, I've got this. We don't do that enough. And I didn't do it. I only started doing it after I started creating content, and I realized that self validation is equally, if not more important than anything else. So yes, this painting is going to bring a lot of attention to my appearance and my condition and the visible difference that I have. But I think it's going to be an opportunity for people to reflect on not only me and how I reflect on myself, but reflect on themselves as well.
Great. No, that's an excellent answer, and kind of inviting that self-reflection and inviting people to reflect on how they feel looking at the portrait,
Yeah.
what they see when they look at themselves, I think is really, really powerful. And I was wondering, you kind of said right at the beginning when Gail showed you those two sketches, those new sketches, you kind of reflected on some of the emotions that were coming up for you. Do you have any kind of further thoughts or reflections on what kind of feelings it might spark for you? What kind of feelings it might bring up for you seeing this kind of portrait and going through this kind of process with Gail?
Yeah, I think it definitely, like I mentioned before, the drawings that Gail showed me, they reminded me of those moments where I felt down, where I felt upset, where I felt as if, why me? And we all have that feeling of why me? Why do I look like this? Why was I born like this? And we all compare ourselves to others. And this project is a real opportunity to say to myself, I'm visibly different, but I'm proud. And we're expressing this through a beautiful drawing that Gail's going to put together, and we're going to have it in such a prestigious venue in Bristol, hanging up. I mean, that in itself is such an honor. I mean, I couldn't have imagined that in my wildest dreams, to have such a painting of me being hung, and I
I think
think.
the honour is mine, Amit. Sorry to interrupt, but I can't let you have it all. All that
um,
honour.
I
It's a
think me and Gail
portrait.
are both very, very excited about
Mm.
this, and I cannot wait to walk into. I cannot wait to walk into that town hall and see this painting for the first time. And
Yeah.
any of my viewers who are in England and who can get to Bristol for this conference, I would say, go on the Centre of Appearance Research website, look up this event, and get yourself registered for it. Maya, if that's something that can be done, I don't know. Can people go onto the website, register to attend this event?
So the conference is a paid for event, so obviously there's
Yeah.
kind of a fee to register, but we'll be
Okay.
sharing kind of lots of bits of it on our social media,
Okay.
for sure. And we have a podcast called Appearance Matters, the podcast,
Yep.
and we'll be sharing recordings of the talks, including the panel discussion,
Yes.
and there'll be lots of photos. And there is also a question in the chat actually about the portrait itself. So if people aren't going to the conference, what the question is, how might people be able to see the portrait?
Well, so a bit in the same model as Amit, I am quite prone to be very loud on social media, but I don't have the same audience. So I tend to share process a lot, and it's certainly my intention to show the process so people will be able to see during the course of it, and I will be actively looking for opportunities to show it afterwards. So it will be obviously unveiled at the conference. So that would be the first place to see it. And I'm so looking forward, Amit, to meeting you in person and seeing your reaction in person. But yeah, I will be looking for opportunities to show it, and I've got a couple of ideas. So follow us, and we will, as those progress and we get something more concrete, then I will definitely be sharing it. So yeah, it's not going to be tucked away.
That's very exciting. So I have a question that kind of is the flip side of what I asked Amit a few minutes ago for you, Gail. So the question is, you've drawn and painted lots of people, done lots of portraits. So what kind of experiences or emotions do you find that people tend to go through, both kind of before, at this phase, during, and then afterwards as well?
That's a fantastic question. So basically, when I'm starting on a portrait with somebody, you're strangers, and whether you're doing a 4-hour portrait from life or something more extended like this, we do plumb the depths. We go through all sorts of elements, and in the process, not just the subject is vulnerable. I'm also quite vulnerable, because basically I could just do something a bit rubbish. There's no guarantee. It's not like a photograph where you could just, you do have to work through, and quite often that process throws things up. So it's usually a bit of a warning sign if someone rocks up for their portrait with a lot of makeup on. That would tell me that they have concerns about how they're portrayed, and they want to, I don't say hide certain things, but I think to have the real person is always very reassuring, and is always really what I'm trying to get to, whilst at the same time respecting that some people aren't ready for that. And it's quite hard as well when I genuinely just love all faces, to reconcile myself with somebody who is wanting to present a certain side, but at the same time I'm really see it as a service as well. So I am really trying to channel, like particularly in this case where Amit has such a rich variety of options to how he could be portrayed, how you could be portrayed on it. I'm really just a conduit for that, I hope. And if you look at it at the end and recognize how you were feeling, and then I think I've succeeded. But hopefully it'll have more legs than that and be of service to many others.
I think you can really sense from both of you how collaborative this project is already at this very kind of beginning stage, and how kind of sensitive and vulnerable you're both being already in all these discussions about how Amit might like to be portrayed, but also how you'll go through the process of getting there. I think now might be a really good time to look at some of the sketching that you've done.
Sure.
Amazing.
So these are basically thumbnails. They're to illustrate kind of composition options. If I start, I'll start at the top of this page here. So we were talking about cricket. So I think probably showing you bowling wouldn't be quite authentic based on what you've said, but I do think I'm guessing you still have a cricket ball.
Yes, I do. Many.
And you'll see all of these pretty much I've got your hands in. I do think if we can get your hands in, they're such a part of how you express yourself. So that was just a thought that you could be holding the ball forward in that sort of sense, with or without backdrop. The next one I was looking at is, I don't know if you can see, there we are. I had like a ring light, because you've mentioned you have a ring light, so I thought that might make quite a nice composition to show you in the process of making content. And obviously, we were talking about mirrors. It would give the chance of showing two sides, possibly. I don't want to kind of make it too complicated, because but being a big painting, it does give us a chance to say more. So this is, the panorama. This is, you were talking about the influence that you can have talking in a conference, like Appearance Matters, or the one in the US. Amit, can you remind me? It was the Child
Tumor Trust Foundation.
Child Tumor Trust Foundation. Yeah, so I loved seeing your the way you owned the stage, and that gives a chance to show your body. I think so much of somebody's likeness is in how they carry themselves. So that was I was thinking maybe we could do something longer and show the influence that you're having, show some of the faces of people watching. I'll talk through them all. If that's all right, and then is that okay? Yeah. So this one clearly very unfinished, but basically I was thinking we could on one canvas show several different faces of you. So maybe a kind of quite a similar pose, where really it's just showing how you're a journey through different through your internal world as expressed on the outside. And then the two others. So this one, I was looking at just your classic face and hands, possibly like the sketch where you were showing your artificial eye, because that resonated with so many. Several people seem to respond to it. It says a lot just in that one pose.
Yes.
And then the last one was, I was just trying to think of an old video I saw of you, and I think Piali was giving you some tender care, and I was just trying to think of a way possibly we could show more, show your back if you wanted, and show Piali's hands on you, and just show that kind of something a bit more intimate. The forum isn't very intimate, is it? A big public conference. So yeah, over to you to.
Well, I was going to ask Amit, do you have any initial thoughts or reflections on any of Gail's ideas?
Very overwhelming. There's a lot to take in. There's a lot of different emotions and different pictures. I think the one with the relationship, showing the intimacy and showing that closeness, shows a big part of people's life. Relationships is a big part of people's lives. We strive for love, care, affection, and that really comes out in that. And the one with the cricket, was a big part of my identity, a big part of the foundations of who I became. I embraced cricket. I played cricket in school. People connected with me because of that. And that's how I became who I was. So again, a very, very powerful story to show that if we embrace who we are, if we accept our personality, we can go a lot further. I always say to people in talks that when I first stood on stage, you must have noticed my face, but now that I'm talking to you about my cricket, my journey, you're like, oh, this is Amit. This is the guy who likes cricket. This is the guy who used to play cricket as a child. You start connecting people with different dots. The one with the mirror, it's a big part of me. Growing up, always came home and looked in the mirror and reflected on why me? Why am I like this? And that was a big part of my life, and it brings back a lot of memories of those emotions that we all do sit at home sometimes and feel sorry for ourselves. We feel insecure or vulnerable, or we lack confidence in ourselves. The one where looks like I'm standing on stage in a conference talking to an audience, it really encapsulates what I'm doing now and what I want to do for the rest of my life, which is share my journey, share my story, to the world. And you know, my ambition, which I make very clear on social media, is to travel the world and share my journey to help, support, and inspire people. That's sort of my tagline. And that picture really shows that where I want to be. And finally, the one with the different is great because it shows all the different images. But one thing I was just thinking of now, because we've got quite a big canvas, maybe we can explore the before and after, or the before and now, and where I want to be. So sort of the sitting in the back, sitting in the dressing room of a conference theatre, looking in the mirror, and then another image of me standing on stage, owning it with my hands wide open, saying, "This is me. Take it or leave it."
Yes.
Because that's how I end all my talks and say, "This journey has taken me on here, and now I want to say, this is me. Take it or leave it." So maybe that's something we can explore as well as an
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all of those reflections, and I think it's interesting that Gail, you've caught so many aspects of Amit's character, and also so many phases of his life in the way that Amit's just kind of explored. And I also really love that idea of kind of the piece of art being almost like about a process, about a journey,
Yeah.
and representing different parts of Amit, just in the way that you've kind of taken, you know, the cricket and that being, as you say, Amit, that being foundational to who you are as a person,
Yeah.
and kind of more about what your interests are, what your body can do, and people knowing you as kind of the guy who plays cricket, and yourself,
Yeah.
and then that the way that this one down here is kind of framed around love and relationships, and you're
Yes.
quite right. That's a huge part of who we are and how we relate to others.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's loads there to reflect on. Gail, did you want to kind of respond to any of Amit's thoughts in any way?
Well, thank you. I'm really happy that you find it all relatable. That's
Yeah.
very encouraging.
I do.
Yeah, so I am drawn to this kind of this idea of your private that private moment that you describe of self scrutiny, and I do like this. There's also possibly an option, although I don't want to get just pack too much in, but we could look at. I have done a kind of group scenes, kind of public place scenes before, where there've been other people in it, like who've wanted to be included. That's a so your audience in the USA would have had, I believe, a mixture of people with different visible differences and without.
Yes.
So, that would say something if you were there, but it doesn't give us the capacity to show terribly much of you. Whereas this does, it's more you. So, yeah. And I think there was one other thing it reminds me that I was wondering about, talking about possibly having something that goes through time, that is almost like a storyboard, but
Yeah.
it made, I would probably need to process that and work out whether that would detract from the impact or add to it. But there's also, you have shared photos of your younger self, and when you've talked about how you were feeling then and what you now know to have been depression, I find it very moving looking at your, that childhood school photo that you share. So there's a possibility, but any of these, I'm just so happy to be painting you, Amit. I'm really like thrilled.
It's lovely just to like feel the excitement in the room as well. You can really feel the like energy coming off. There is
definitely a sense of excitement, and viewers that are watching, please do contribute with your comments as well of what your thoughts are so far. Some wonderful comments already coming in from Emmanuel, Sir Jose, Hamburger 24. Thank you so much for everyone that's commenting. Do keep those comments coming in. Any thoughts you've got on what we've discussed so far? This is truly and really exciting project for me. When I say that I used to dream of having a portrait done of me, I am not making it up. I absolutely did, and to have the honor of having it painted by Gail. She's so professional. She's so great. She's guided me through this process throughout. There's been times where I've been like, Gail, do I do this? Do I do that? And she's been so helpful and so kind in helping me in this process. I'm
You make it very
really looking
easy,
forward.
Amit.
If you all want to see this process, make sure you're subscribing and following her on her socials, following and subscribing to me on my socials, because we are going to be posting
Yep.
snippets throughout the journey as well, little teasers of what's going on. So yeah, please keep your comments coming in. Please keep the likes coming in, and keep watching.
And tell us your feedback. Tell us what you think about, these options. I'm really interested to know, because it's, it's very unusual that you get that opportunity to have these reflections early from people, from your viewers, and these, thank you as well for the comments on my channel. Thank you, Sharon and Jekaterina and Richelle and everyone, for we can see your comments and we're very grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. You are a part of this journey as much as we are. It's very unusual, like you said, to have people being involved at such an early stage. So it's almost like you're a part of the journey. I say to all my YouTube subscribers that I get to 1 million subscribers one day, and everyone that's following me now is a part of this journey, and we're growing together. We truly are. So yeah, this is the project where we're together.
I wonder if now might be a good time for you to discuss kind of some of the next steps. So what's next in this process? Be really exciting to hear.
Definitely. Yep. Shall I go?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So we need to I think we could do with just let it bed down. I'd be really interested to see people's comments on what they think. And then I think I will probably make a proposal. That's usually what. So I will make a proposal, and you are totally at liberty to push back and say, so we can do that between ourselves, Amit. And then I think, depending on what it is, we need to decide whether we need to take some more photos, whether we need to meet in person, or whether there is already material that I can work from. And we can decide that between ourselves. I don't know if you've got any thoughts yourself about that.
I'm happy to explore whatever is in the interest of getting the best results for the painting. So yeah, I'm happy to explore anything.
Okay, fantastic. And then I will just go and get a great big canvas. I'll probably do some more worked up sketches, which I'll share on social media, and maybe we can share your reaction like we did before. So that, and then painty is really
it's really exciting. I'm personally very excited to see the final product and all of the process in between as well. I think it will be amazing to see it come together. And it's been a real joy to hear you guys discuss your approach to it. Amit, how are you feeling at the moment?
I'm really excited, really sort of buzzed about how this end product's gonna look. It's just an incredible feeling.
Wonderful. Brilliant.
Cool. I was just going to say that's me. That I've got so much out of this. My head is full. My heart is full. So I'm just really keen to get started. I wanted to say thank you, as on behalf of CAR, you're their representative. I listen. I love your podcast. I'm so excited about coming to the conference and hearing the speakers, the keynotes, and just seeing the amount of care that's going on to curating the conference. I'm really excited, and I'm just so grateful for this opportunity, and to you both for, I just think we're all on the same wavelength, which makes it fun, really good fun.
It does. Really excited, Gail. Thank you for the opportunity, Maia, as well today, and thank you to the Centre of Appearance Research for commissioning this again, because I'm truly honoured and excited.
Well, thank you for both your time. It's been lovely to meet you both. And Amit, I might hand over to you just to wrap up now, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Can I say one thing?
Oh, one more thing.
Yes,
Sorry.
Leon, do you want to say goodbye?
Yes, Leon.
I'd just like to give a shout out This is
Little
Leon.
tech guy.
He's been on the comments. He's been putting up with me.
Thank you.
Fretting over all the tech and cameras. So
Thank you, Leon.
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.
And Leon deserves definitely a round of applause. He's done an excellent job. He's also managed all my chat for me as well, which is great. Thank you so much for doing all of that, Leon. Yeah, thank you, Gail. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Centre for Appearance Research viewers. Thank you for staying and watching this incredible sort of brainstorming session where we were looking at what we're going to do. It's very rare that we get to be involved as a collective right from the start. So it's going to be a very, very exciting next few weeks to get this. And I cannot wait for the conference just to see the painting. Thank you, everybody, for watching today. Make sure you subscribe to Gail, myself. Make sure you check out Centre of Appearance Research as well. They've got some great content on their socials as well. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Hello.